Hello. Hi, friends. How are you today? That's great. Well, my name is Mrs. Schley, and today I would like to do a book talk with you guys. Is it okay for us to talk about 3 books today? Yes? Awesome. Well, let's take a dive in and see what books we're going to talk about today. Now, for this first book, what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. Your eyes are not closed. Close your eyes and listen to this sound. And tell me, what do you hear? You hear a lot of noise, right? Does it sound like music to your ears? You hear the cars moving? You hear the construction in the background? Some of you may even hear the wind blowing. But does that sound like music to your ears? Or does it just sound like a bunch of noise? So, I asked you to listen to the sounds outside to see if you were able to make a beautiful song with the noise that you heard. And I asked that question because of this book right here, Song in the City, written by Daniel Bergstrom. And in this story, there's a beautiful girl by the name of Emmeline, and she is taking a trip to her church with her grandmother on an early Sunday morning through a busy city. And in this story, Emmeline hears beautiful song, beautiful music, but it's not your everyday music. It is music like beep, 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 honk, scratch. Those are just some of the sounds that she hears, but she hears it in a sound that most of us does not hear it from. And she asks her grandmother, "Do you hear the sound?" But Grandma Jean does not hear the beautiful sounds that Emmeline hears. And so eventually that makes Emmeline really sad. And Grandma Jean noticed that Emmeline is really sad. And so Grandma Jean takes a seat with Emmeline because they have arrived at the church. And she takes a seat with Emmeline. And she goes, "Do you really hear a song?" And Emily asks her to try to listen. But grandmother sits, and all she hears is hoink, hoink, beep. Just a lot of regular noise. But then one hand darkens Grandma Jean's eyes. And Emily says, "Try this way." And Grandma Jean tried this way. And what do you notice? Emmeline cannot see. She is blind. And so we learned that when she hears sounds, it sounds a little bit different than us who can see. So I asked, when Grandma Jean's vision is darkened in this book, what happens in the story? So I challenge you today to read this book and find out what happens when Grandma Jean's eyes are darkened. And how would that make you feel if you were put in either one of their shoes? Let's take a look at this second book, One Word from Sophia, written by Jim Everback and Yasmin Ishmael. So, I want you guys to think of a time where you wanted something really bad, but you knew you had to do some convincing, and some really good convincing. What did you do? Well, Sophia, in this story, she wanted a pet giraffe. And I want to read the first 2 pages for you so you can get an idea. Sophia's birthday was coming up, and she had 5 things on her mind: 1 true desire and 4 problems. Ooh. Her 1 true desire was to get a pet giraffe for her birthday. The 4 problems were her mother, who was a judge, her father, who was a businessman, her uncle, who was a politician, and her grandmother, who was very strict. So, because Sophia knew that she had 4 problems, she had to find ways to convince each person in a way that would get them to get her this pet giraffe. And each time she went to them, they said, "Nope. You did not persuade me enough. And plus, your persuasion was a little too long. You need to shorten it next time." She started with her mother. Then she went to her father, and he said, "Nope. Your persuasion didn't persuade me enough. And plus, your presentation, it was a little too long. Shorten it next time. Use fewer words." And her uncle said the same thing, and her strict grandmother said the same thing. So guess what she had to do? It says, in a last desperate attempt before her birthday, Sophia prepared to speak to everyone at once. She revised and shortened her proposition until it was just 1 word. And what word could that be? Well, I challenge you to read this book, One Word from Sophia, and I want you to find out what that 1 word could be. And I promise you, the word is simple, it's sweet, and it is something that every kid probably used before. I hope you find out. Now, imagine you right now sitting there. You realize that there is a problem in this world, and it is up to you to use your voice to speak up for what's right when the grown-ups around you does absolutely nothing. How will that make you feel? Well, this is a true story about a girl who used her voice, her courage, and her heart to speak up about clean water. Just a kid, 8 years old, Autumn stood up in front of world leaders and said, "Our water needs help. Help keep our water clean." And in this book, we learn about Autumn's bravery and Autumn's courage to speak up for something that she believed in. And if you ever wonder if a kid just like you can make a difference, I encourage you to read this book and find out. All right, friends, that would do it for our book talk today. I hope that you are interested in reading at least one of these books. Do you have a favorite? What's your favorite? I think I like that one too. Well, until next time, thank you for coming to my book talk. Bye.